Hello, Grizzlies. This is Dr. Carl Robinson, C-Rob to my friends, and this is Introduction to English 112. I'm shooting this in Madison County in my parents' backyard. The Rapidan River is through those trees over there. And I came home. I was teaching in Texas. My dad passed away around Christmas in 2022. My mom's 84, has some dementia. I'm sure I'll talk about that in class some, but I came home to take care of my mom, and that's harder than I ever thought it would be. But anyway, I'm about 25 minutes from the wilderness. In my teaching career, I've taught in Virginia, Ohio, Iowa, and Texas, but I'm glad to be back home teaching my home people. And I like teaching in the wilderness. I like saying the wilderness. Like, how does this play in the wilderness? What does the wilderness think of this? I kind of think that's funny. So I'm trying to say wilderness more and more. A little bit about me. I went to Woodbury Forest for high school. I went to Randolph-Macon College in Ashland for my undergrad. I went to Virginia Tech. I love Randolph-Macon. A lot of fun. I went to Virginia Tech for my master's, went hiking a lot, camping a lot, bonfires out in the woods. And then I went to Kent State in Ohio for my PhD. My PhD is on the language of wrestling and boxing, sport, why we play, what that means. And I thought that's more interesting, fun, and cool than talking about politics or money or religion, talking about sports. A little bit about our class. It's 11 to 12:20 in room 302 in the wilderness, 15-week class. A little bit about how the class is structured. There's 6 modules. We'll do, the first module is Nathaniel Hawthorne and John Updike. The second module is Edgar Allan Poe. The third module is a midterm, all essay questions that you'll have seen before, no problem. Fourth module is Ernest Hemingway and William Faulkner. Fifth module is Walker Percy, one of my favorites. We'll get to it. And the last module is your final test. Sort of the way the class is structured. We'll spend 2 weeks discussing the readings. Then there'll be the 5th class will work in groups. The 6th class usually will watch a film or a YouTube video on the reading. So the first module, like I said, Hawthorne, Updike. Second module, Poe. Midterm. The third module, Hemingway and Faulkner. I should say that's the 4th. The 5th module, Walker Percy. And then there's a test. Basically, there's a lot of revisions. So the first week, there'll be a 500-word homework assignment. Then you'll read my comments, revise it. It'll be a 1,000-word rough draft. If you like what you wrote the first time, you just, tweak what you already have. You don't have to write anything new. You can if you want to, but it's supposed to be revision. So the homework for the first Saturday, 500-word homework assignment. Then the second Saturday, 1,000-word rough draft. Third Saturday, 2,500-word essay. And you'll have choices. We'll go over them. The midterm will be 3 essay questions, and you'll have already seen the essay questions, and we'll do a study guide. And then the next module, Hemingway and Faulkner, 2 weeks of discussion, group work. We'll work in groups, and then like a film or something from YouTube, maybe. I'm looking at my notes. There is the last paper, Walker Percy, is a research paper, so there'll be an annotation assignment where the sources you use for your research paper, you'll write 3 or 4 sentences describing what your source is like and how you'll use it in your paper. And then your last essay, the research paper, you have to have 3 annotations and 3 in-text citations, but that's only for the last paper. Our readings, I think you'll like them. I usually choose something meaty and interesting that I like. I think 5 or 6 of you were in my English 111 class. Really good students. I like that class a lot. I told them these readings are a little more all-American, starting from, say, 1750 till about the, I don't know, 1975 or so. But they're kind of all-American readings, I think. The first one is Nathaniel Hawthorne, Young Goodman Brown. Nathaniel Hawthorne's great-grandfather was a judge at the Salem witch trials, and he sent some witches to be burned at the stake. He feels guilty about that. He doesn't like the Puritanism of old school America, maybe new school America, I don't know. Young Goodman Brown is married to Faith. He's a newlywed. He goes out in the woods one night, and everyone he knows is out in the woods dancing with the devil, kind of like Washington, D.C. So he kind of loses his faith at the end. It's about Puritanism, faith, individual strength, whatever you want to call it. But I think you'll like it, especially because the devil's in it. Our second reading is John Updike's A&P. I read that at Randolph-Macon in the spring. I have better memories from Randolph-Macon College, but there was something about the time and place. I really like Updike's America. There's a kid named Sammy who's a clerk at a beach town, and these three girls come in their bikinis, and all the clerks go crazy. And then the manager comes over and tells the girls they need to be decent. Don't come in the store in bikinis anymore. And then Sammy, in protest, youthful protest, quits his job. So it's a little bit kind of I don't know if you study history about 1950s transitioning into the 1960s, what people thought in the 50s versus the 60s. We'll talk about stuff like, would you wear your bathing suit into the Food Lion? And C. Rob wouldn't wear his bathing suit into the Food Lion, but it's a little bit about changing values. And we'll talk about maybe values changed again with COVID and the computer. But it's a nice little study of 1960s culture. And Updike was from Pennsylvania. They would call it Pennsylvania All-American Sensibilities. So I think you'll like that reading. Our next module is Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe, I bet you know Edgar Allan Poe. You like Edgar Allan Poe. His biography might be more interesting than his readings. There's certainly a Virginia connection. He lived in Richmond. He went to UVA. You want a random story from his bio. When he died, they found him in Baltimore. No one knows why he was in Baltimore, just wandering the streets. They took him to a mental hospital, and he died 3 days later. No one really knows what he was doing there. Was he drugged? Was someone trying to get him to vote a certain way? It's kind of a mystery. And then a mystery woman for 75 years brought flowers to his grave. But our three Poe readings are The Raven. I think you might know The Raven maybe from The Simpsons, from television, Telltale Heart, and then The Cask of Amontillado. The way I would connect Edgar Allan Poe's readings, the narrator isn't reliable. So maybe it's easy. You read a story, A to B to C, linear. Don't smoke cigarettes. Smoking cigarettes bad. Okay, I got the plot. I'm going to get an A in class and be a barber in Unionville. But the reading is a little more interesting, maybe a little harder if you have to be that detective. But Edgar Allan Poe is the father of sci-fi, American sci-fi, the father of American goth culture, the father of detective fiction. So all of those stories kind of sort of have an unreliable narrator, and the impetus is on us to figure out what's going on. The last reading is Walker Percy's Loss of the Creature. Some of you may have seen that before in one of my other classes. Pound for pound, I think it's my favorite reading that I do with any of my students. Walker Percy wants you to live life, have fun, be alive. And his story is example after example after example, trying to maybe connect to as many readers or students as possible. The last example, maybe the best, he says you're a student, you're on vacation, you're walking on the beach, you pick up a seashell. It's a really big one. You're an explorer. You show it to your friends. You show it to your mom. You take it home and put it on the mantle. You're an explorer. It's cool. But then you go back to school the following Monday and you go to biology lab and your biology professor puts the same seashell on your lab on your table to be dissected. And then it's something the man's making you do. It's part of the system. He would call it consumer packaging. So you find that seashell on the beach. It's cool. You're an explorer. Your professor gives it to you to dissect. He's the man and you don't want to do it. But anyway, that's our 6 readings. There's spring break in there. And 5 or 6 of you were in my class, English 111. It was a good class. I'm excited to see you in January. Okay. See you, Grizzlies.